Hey everyone, I'm going to be editing another story today. I'm actually going to record probably two videos today, but they'll be shown in two different months on my Patreon page. Off to the side here, you see 31 stories for Halloween on Jay Wilburn's Patreon. I'll have one story a day every day in October. But this particular story is actually going to be for December, and that's 31 horrors for the holidays. Another 31 stories, one a day, all through the month of December. So I'll be going through pro edits on this one. I actually sent it off to someone and he put some edits in, and we're going to take a look at that now. Usually I'm off to the left side of the page when I'm editing a story, but since track changes are on, it pushes the page off to the left, and so I'm kind of covering up the right here, which may end up covering up some of the comments I'm going to be looking at, but I'll read those as we go. So again, this is sort of a Christmas story, and it'll be on my Patreon page in December, but you guys watching this somewhere off of Patreon are getting to see it early. Okay, Keeping the Place by Jay Wilburn. Hold the fucking thing straight, Sid's father yelled at him from under the tree in the garage. Sid squeezed his eyes shut and twisted his face up into a grimace, but made sure to keep his mouth closed as he leaned into the branches. The needles bit into the cheeks and exposed forearm. Say into his cheeks and exposed forearms. The bark of the narrow trunk was rough around his under his hands. Okay, I had actually, just for clarity's sake, I actually accepted all the changes before I started in. Usually I'll read through and go through one by one, and then go back and read the story. Instead, with this, I'm just going to go ahead and accept the changes as they were given, and then address the comments and other things. I believe it was in the email he mentioned taking out this whole forward section and jumping into the story later on, which is typically good advice and probably the right thing to do. But in this case, I'm going to leave the sections of the story as they are. All right, sap already coated his hands. He was sure it was in his hair too. The alarm continued from inside the house in long, steady buzz. It wasn't as loud as a smoke alarm, but it scared Sid way more. Oh, am I doing it again? Okay, hold on. Thank you. Oh, am I doing it again? Okay, hold on. Thank you. Oh, am I doing it again? I appreciate it, man. I'm sorry. I even have on a checklist I'm supposed to check that. I have on a checklist that I'm supposed to check and be sure that's off, and even with that, I still managed to turn it back on again. Thanks for coming on. I did that one other video and went all the way through the video before I realized it was going on, so I apologize for that. So again, everybody that's heard the beginning of this in stereo, like I'm talking in a stadium, that's why it was my fault again. Thank you for coming on and letting me know. All right. If you don't hold the fucking thing straight, I can't get the screws tightened right in the base. If it isn't straight up when we take it inside, it will fall the fuck over. We'll have to unscrew it and then screw it in again. Then we'll chew up the bottom of the fucking tree. I'll have to saw the fucked up part off, and it'll look stumpy and stupid then. We won't be able to fit presents under it. You want fucking presents, Sid? Yes, Dad. Mitch's alarm is going off. I hear it. His dad's jeans shifted against the concrete. Push it toward me. Sid leaned in harder. We may need help. We should go check. Is that toward me? Is it? I can't tell. My face is in the tree. We need to help Mitch. You don't worry about Mitch. We got it. He's fine. Your mother is in there with him, handling it. She knows what to do, and she'll call me if she needs me. Sid looked over his shoulder at the open door leading in the kitchen. The alarm was still going, but if she called for help, they might not hear her out in the garage. Now you're pulling the fucking thing away from me a different way. Just tell me which way. I can't see. Toward me. Sid sighed. He scraped his right shoe on the concrete. This is my right. The trash can is like 2 o'clock. The corner of your workbench is like 10 o'clock. Which way and how much? There was silence under the tree, but the alarm in the house. There was silence under the tree, but the alarm in the house. I should say, like, continued. It might have been except for the alarm in the house, but this is probably the fastest way to fix that. Continued. Sid knew he had overstepped and might get a hand for it. His father's voice became quieter. That could be good, but probably meant disaster. Back to the right. Stop. Now forward, away from you. 1 o'clock, about an inch. A little more. There. Hold it fucking straight. Can you do that while I screw it in? Just hurry before I lose my grip. My arms are shaking. As the screws for the metal tree stand twisted into the wood, he felt the vibration. He was only in 5th grade, but Sid felt like he had been through this ritual 1,000 times. That couldn't be right, though. He tried to remember the first time it became his job and not his mother's. The alarm died, and the true silence felt heavy in his ears. As his father poured water into the tree stand, he said, "We got to check this every day. If it dries out, the lights will get hot and burn the whole fucking house down." "Yes, sir." All right. Suggest strapped as a stronger verb, is what that one says, instead of put. All right, so let's take a look at it. "Yes, sir." Language. Mom put the breathing mask over Mitch's head in the bassinet by the dining room table. She had made sure he wasn't spitting up any of his heart medicines. If he did in the mask, it would be bad. The alarm would go off again, but it might be too late. Sid wasn't supposed to know that, but he heard his parents talking about it. Okay, so put is a weak verb. I don't know if strapped is correct. I'm going to say fitted. It's probably still not strong enough, but that'll do for now. Okay, boxes of ornaments piled all through the sitting room. The living room was around the corner and past the kitchen. A Christmas video already waited for them to play. A Christmas video already waited for them to play. I may need to reword that. Christmas video waited. Maybe it's already that's weak. Thank you, I appreciate it. Likes fitted. Okay, a Christmas video waited for them to play. I'll leave it like that. It was going to be a surprise. It was going to be a surprise which one once they were done decorating. Every box of decorations was a surprise too, because they never got packed back the same way as last year. It is kind of passive. As last year. Every box of decorations was a surprise too, because they never got packed back the same way year to year. Dad set the plastic jug aside. You worry about you and I'll worry about me." She rubbed Mitch's head. "I worry about a lot of things for the both of us, don't I?" His father's shoulders tensed. Sid tensed too, but for different reasons than his father, he guessed. "I can't fix every damn thing, but I can put up the Christmas tree if you'll stay off my ass about every little thing." All right, this goes down there, so I'll look at it then. Sid wasn't sure if he believed in God. He thought you kind of had to if you wanted to celebrate Christmas. Even after you stopped believing in Santa, you had to pretend to so you could still get presents. God was the same way, Sid thought. But at the moment, he prayed hard to baby Jesus that his mom wouldn't say anything else. "You're doing a really good job so far establishing everyone's status. I can totally feel for the kid. The way he's reacting to his parents fighting, everything going on is well done. Thank you so much." All right, so that's not something I got to fix. Crawling under the tree, Dad wrapped a tree skirt around the stand. That material was that material was older than Sid, and it showed. Dad unrolled the Christmas lights and plugged them in. Nothing happened. Fuck. He fished through the box and took out the small cardboard sleeve of extra bulbs. That cardboard looked older than Sid, too. It had elves drawn on it, stringing Christmas lights, but they looked weird old, like art from when his parents' parents would have been kids or something. "Are they a series or parallel?" Mom asked. Sid didn't understand the question. Dad must have. They only did series back then. "It may be time to get new lights." His father's shoulders tensed, also passive. Yeah. It may be time to get new lights. Dad took out one bulb and inserted another in the slot closest to the plug. The lights didn't come on. He put the old bulb back in and replaced the second bulb. It still didn't come on. He moved to the third. "Just need to find the one that's out." so this goes down there. Whatever suits you, as always. She opened a box and started stacking red, yellow, and white Christmas balls. They were in slotted cardboard flats with cellophane windows, brittle and busted out from age and use. Sid liked them because they were fuzzy. They still had the wire hooks on them from all the previous years. He got up to help. Dad stuck the old bulb back in the 7th slot and moved to the 8th. Don't put any decorations on yet. Lights need to go on first, then garland, or it's just a mess. I know how it works. Been here as long as you. I'm just looking for the garland for when we're ready for it. She finally found it. It was glittery gold, and Sid pictured it as something a lady would wear over her shoulders if she were kick dancing in a line of other ladies. Fun imagery. Good. So another thing I don't need to fix. Mom sat down in the chair next to Mitch as she waited. Come here and make yourself useful. Help me keep my place so I won't miss one. It was boring, but a lot easier than holding the fucking tree straight, so Sid didn't mind so much. He found he had a knot of sap in his bangs. If Mom saw it, he'd have to take another bath, so he tried not to draw attention by messing with it too much. Pay attention. We lose our place. We have to start over. They reached the last bulb, but the lights didn't come on. Dad stared down at the dead lights in his hand. Sid's shoulders tensed. He wanted to retreat, but he was afraid to move on. I'm kind of using that same word over and over again to kind of draw a parallel between the dad and the son a little. We've had those forever. Mom sat with her legs crossed. It made her look younger than Sid thought she was, almost like a teenager rather than a mom. We were bound to need new ones eventually. If we go out up to the store tonight, I'm working my ass off. I don't have the money to spring on new lights. She glanced at Mitch, and the illusion of being young was gone. Maybe the extra bulb you're using is bad too. Those bulbs just go... Okay, these bulbs don't just go bad from sitting. Maybe the wires are bad. We've had them a long time. I roll the lights up carefully to keep from pulling the wires, just like my dad drilled into me. The lights are fine. Oh, thank you so much, man. I roll the lights up carefully to keep from pulling the wires, just like my dad drilled into me. The lights are fine. We just have 2 bad bulbs and need to track them down. How long is that going to take? Dad still had his back to her, but showed his teeth. Sid was close enough to see the flush in the man's cheeks, and he believed in God a little less in that moment. As long as it takes. I'm not giving up. You don't just throw something away because it takes as long as it takes. You don't give up on something that can be saved just because it takes work to save it. All right. She narrowed her eyes as she rocked Mitch gently. You're telling me this? Okay, again, another complimentary comment. He replaced the first bulb by the plug again, but then pulled out the second bulb for the next slot. The lights still didn't come on. He went, We have to go back down the line, Sid. You with me? His voice had a weird cheer to it all of a sudden that made Sid nervous. Yes, sir. They ran the lights again with no luck. Dad replaced the second bulb and left it. Then they started running the line again, with Sid helping keep the place. Mom stood and started sorting ornaments. Lights go first, then garland, he said. Mom licked her lips and left them parted for a moment before she spoke. I'm going to get everything organized for when the lights come on, so this doesn't take all night. She found the 12 mice ornaments that acted out the 12 days of Christmas. She found the manila envelope with stuff he had made at school in years past. Sid made sure to hold the place for his dad each time, but he watched his mother rediscover old treasures behind the old man's back. He smiled as each one was revealed. You just used made in the previous sentence. All right, I do have a bad habit about that. She found them made. Sid... Okay, let's not say made sure. Sid... Let's just make it held. Sid held the place for his dad each time with care. All right. You're distracting me. Can you just wait for me to finish? It's not like I'm hurting anyone. She left the ornaments she had already sorted and removed Mitch's mask. The alarm buzzed for a second before she turned it off. It made Sid's stomach hurt. She took Mitch covered with his sensors into her arms and rolled his oxygen tank with her through the kitchen. Sid realized Dad was watching Mom too. I'm going to read a book and get Mitch down for the night. Call me if anything magical happens. They finished the run and then replaced the third bulb. Dad tried the first 2 slots, the fourth, and then ran the line again with no luck. He was starting to repeat the process with the fourth and first slots when Mom stepped back into the sitting room. Sid, why don't you come watch the movie before it gets too late? We'll have to finish decorating tomorrow, probably. All right. Sid stared at Dad, who spoke without looking at him. Do whatever you want. Okay, I made this a question. It's not a question. The editor is correct, as usual. Stephen King says that the editor is always right, but you should never take all their advice. I'm going to stay and help Dad, if that's okay, Mom. She licked her lips and parted them for just a moment. Of course it's fine. We'll save the movie until tomorrow. Was she mad? Was she mad at him? Sid was used to Dad being mad at him, but he didn't know what to do with Mom being mad at him. What did she have to be mad about? He was just trying to help Dad fix it. She took Mitch and the tank upstairs. Dad was watching her go too. I don't need to say was. I'll just say he watched. Dad watched. There we go. Now there's one less was in this monstrosity of a story. As they continued the run, Sid still had the place marked. After a few more unsuccessful replacements, Dad said, I had a little sister with something like what Mitch has, you know. You, Uncle David, and Uncle Tommy have a sister? The wheels had to turn in his head for a second, like an ant? Dad swallowed a couple times. Well, things were different back then. Medicine wasn't as good as now, so they had to give up on her. Not like today, when if we can pay enough, they can keep helping. Sid took a moment to piece together what his dad was saying. When he did, his stomach hurt, and he looked up the dark stairs where the bathrooms were. Never mind, Sid, that was a dumb story. Did I tell you about the Christmas your uncles and I got slingshots? No. Well, they weren't like the rubber band kind. They were like the spinning around slings, like the one King David used to kill Goliath. Well, we go out to try them out. Awkward repeating out twice. Okay, maybe I can change that. Of course, this is dialogue, so it's okay for people to get repeaty in dialogue sometimes if it's not distracting. I'm going to leave it. Okay, missing word here. His dad told the story of them terrorizing the neighborhood with the David slings. Good catch. Thank you, Max. All right. Again, I accepted all the changes he made just in terms of commas and stuff without even checking them this time, just for the purposes here. All right. One story led to another as they ran the line a few more times. They were halfway. They were hallway. No, not hallway. Halfway. They were halfway through testing the line with the 7th slot changed when the alarm went off upstairs. After a few seconds, Sid stopped holding the place and stood up. It's fine, it's fine. It's not like... His dad held up a hand and Sid flinched away. His father turned his attention upstairs. Do you need help with him? The buzz stretched out without an answer. Then the alarm stopped. I got it. Sid's got school tomorrow. Needs to go to bed. Head on up, buddy. I want to help you keep the place. I'll take care of it. Hopefully lights will be on the tree when you get up in the morning. They weren't. Dad came home from work hours after Sid got back from school. After dinner, Dad went back to running the line. Sid finished his bath and homework and came down in his pajamas to help. Mom got Mitch in bed and got up the stockings and wreaths herself. We could put up the tree without the lights this year. Mom crossed her arms behind them. Dad bristled. No, that's not a Christmas worth remembering. A set of lights isn't going to be what breaks us. Am I hurting anyone? Am I? What if 3 lights are out? Then what? Dad seemed to deflate. He kept going without saying a word. The next run and a half was completed in silence. Then he started in on another Christmas story about his brothers. They led to stories about Christmas when Mom was still pregnant with Sid and his parents had to go eat Christmas dinner at Waffle House. He couldn't imagine his parents without him and Mitch. What did they even do all day? When Mom came back in the room, Sid was afraid she was going to bring up the movie again, but she just said, "Bedtime, school tomorrow." Dad continued running the line. It was Friday, so no school night. After they poured water into the stand for the naked tree, Sid stayed up later helping Dad with the line. After the stories about his brothers ran out, Dad started telling stories about his own father, who died before Sid was born. The stories started out funny, but then got darker. Dad didn't say it, but Sid realized Grandpa was a real bastard. He hit with tools and 2x4s instead of hands. Sid felt lucky to have his dad instead of his dad's dad. Dad had to work his second job on Saturday and Sunday. After dinner, they ran the line again. About midday through on Sunday, they replaced the last bulb and ran the lights from the plug to the end. Dad stopped talking and then just sat there. All right. I don't need to say then here. And just sat there. He took a deep breath and whispered, "Don't tell your mom it's 3 bulbs out." Sid nodded but didn't say anything. Dad replaced the first 2 bulbs and ran the line, replacing every other bulb in turn without any success and without a word. Starting to feel tedious describing each action. Yeah, that's kind of on purpose, though. There's a method to this being tedious, I think. He switched out the first and third bulbs, then ran the line, then the first and fourth bulbs, and up the line. It felt so much longer without the stories, and when it got to be bedtime, Sid was both thankful and heartbroken to be thankful. He left his dad alone to secretly run the line for 3 bad bulbs. This is a good note. Search then into the find option and take a gander at how often you're using it. Try to eliminate 50% of them. That is excellent advice, and it is a problem that I am well aware of. I do use then too often. The pattern continued after dinner on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. There were no more stories. Sometimes Dad muttered to himself, but then... I'm going to leave then at this time. But then tapered back off into silence. Sometimes he just repeated "fuck" under his breath several times in a row. On Tuesday, they switched to trying the second and third and then up the line, then the second and fourth, and so on. Mitch's alarm went off a lot on Wednesday. Before bedtime, his dad said, "Just go watch a movie with your mother so she stops looking at me side-eyed." Sid sat a moment. "I want to help. Help by not helping right now. I need to think." Sid went into the living room. They watched one of the Charlie Brown movies as Mom held Mitch, but he didn't pay much attention to it. Dad wouldn't let him help at all on Thursday. After Sid went to bed that night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking, what if it's 4 lights? What if it's 5 lights? What if it's all the lights? It was still 2 weeks until Christmas. Could his dad work 7 days a week and fuck with those lights all the way up until Christmas? Every decoration was up except for the tree. Sid didn't even care that there weren't any presents under it yet. Dad and Mom taking care of Mitch. Dad and Mom angry at each other. Okay, this is an awkward structure. He finally heard his dad go to bed. It was late, and Dad had to get up early. Dad got up and was gone to the first job before Sid even got up. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I can make that better. All right, and that's the last of the comments, I guess. Okay, he finally heard. Dad got up for his first job. Dad got up for his first job before Sid even awoke. Let's leave that "got up" and make Dad woke. Dad woke. All right. Dad woke for his first job before Sid even got up. Most nights. Sid got up and quietly... Most nights. What am I doing here? All right. I'm going to take that out because it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Sid got up and quietly opened his piggy bank. The change was so loud. He took coins out one at a time. It normally would have been too much effort, 1 coin at a time, but he had been running the line for days. It was like his muscles and mind were trained for it. Let's say trained for this. This type of tedious work. All right. He fished out mostly quarters, but then got nervous and took out dimes and nickels too. The second part of the plan was the most dangerous. He listened for a long time and then snuck down the stairs. Sid started to pull out one of the Christmas lights from the dead line, but then stopped. His dad would notice. He took one of the extras from the sleeve instead. The alarm went off upstairs. Sid ran up the steps. Let's make this steps since I already said stairs. Ran up the steps as fast as he could. He got back into his room as his parents' door opened. He lay in bed with his heart thudding. He realized the front of his pajamas were a little wet. They had dried by morning, so he didn't have to explain anything. When he got home from school on Friday, he had plenty of time. He went out to ride his bike, but went way past the boundary his mom had set, all the way to the hardware store. On the way, he realized he could have just picked up the bulb and his money after school instead of last night like a pants-wetting ninja. He compared the bulb he had taken from the sleeve with the ones on the shelves. They had one brand that was a match for the tiny bulbs on the dead strand at home. He even switched out the old bulb with the new one on the line to be sure. Sid hoped he could afford 2 strands, but he couldn't. He didn't want to get home and find out the first one he bought was out too. He decided to make the cashier plug the lights in before he got them. Then he asked to switch the bulbs to be sure they were the same. She gave him a stupid kid look, but let him do it. When he took out one bulb, the rest stayed on. Why wasn't there stupid lights at home like this? The old bulb lit up dimmer than the new ones, but it worked. He counted out his change next to the register. The cashier gave him another look, but then smiled and helped him count. Sid rode home and snuck the lights in under his shirt. Mom was busy with Mitch as always. He unrolled the new strand and couldn't wait to trash the old one. It was wrong. It was fucking wrong. It wasn't even half as long as their strand. The twist of wires between the bulbs was thicker. The green on the new strand was way brighter than the old one. He tried to fool himself into thinking his dad wouldn't notice, but he would. Even if Sid told him he bought the new ones with his own money, he had a sense his dad would be dangerously angry, maybe even as angry as Grandpa used to get in the stories. Sid let out a frustrated groan and snuck his new lights upstairs to hide. Dad started again after dinner. He checked the water level in the base of the tree and started running the line alone. Mom made Sid watch another Christmas movie in their mostly decorated house. His wheels were turning. Dad didn't look good. He looked older than Sid thought he should, at the same degree that Mom had looked younger for a moment when this all started. The old was sticking to Dad, though. His eyes looked bad and his skin was wrong. Sid didn't know in what way, but he knew about how the old bulb looked so much dimmer next to the new ones. Sid didn't know in what way, but he thought about how the old bulb looked so much dimmer next to the new lights. The wheels turned. Sid went to bed early, so Mom read him a couple extra stories. The last one got interrupted by Mitch's alarm, and Mom forgot to come back to finish the book. Dad went to bed earlier than the previous night, but still not early. A bulb on an idea. Okay, that should be of. A bulb of an idea came on in his head. It was dim at first, but the more he thought about it, the brighter it got. He thought he'd never go to sleep, but he woke up after a sound sleep long after Dad went to his second job. Mom was busy with Mitch on Saturday, and Sid snuck downstairs with his new wrong lights. He plugged the new ones in the top socket and got the dead ones in the bottom socket. Underneath. Sid ran the line, but differently. He pulled one bulb from the new lights and tested each old bulb in turn in the empty socket in the working lights. Each one lit up dim in the new lights. They were dim, but they lit up. The 8th one was burnt out. He stared at it like it had betrayed him. How many times had they taken out and put back in the same traitor bulb? This bulb was trying to ruin Christmas for his whole family. Sid replaced it with a bulb from the new line and continued the run. The 14th one was out. He replaced it with a new bulb, but still nothing. The 20th bulb was out. but the old line stayed dead. He replaced a bad 30-second bulb, but still nothing. There were 4 old dead lights in the new string, but the rest of the lights were on. The old dead string of lights stayed dead. Maybe not everything can be saved. It may have been the most adult thing Sid had ever said, but he found himself thinking about his brother and his dad's secret sister, and he just felt tired. Maybe tired was what it was like to be an adult, judging by his parents anyway. The 33rd bulb was dead too. Sid sighed. If there were too many dead bulbs, he would be out of luck. His new line was much shorter, and he didn't have enough in his piggy bank to get any more strands. The new bulb snicked into the 33rd slot, and magic happened. The old lights lit up from the plug to the end. Sid wanted to cry. There were 5 bright bulbs and countless dim ones, but they were all on. He heard his mother on the stairs. Sid unplugged both strands and shoved the new ones under the couch. Mom looked down at him, and he felt like he was caught. This is not your problem, Sid. What? You don't have to try to fix the lights. This is your dad's thing. Don't let it ruin Christmas for you. It won't. I'm fine, Mom. She stared at him a moment longer and then walked into the kitchen. Why not just plug them in for her? He could pretend he fixed them, be the hero, save Christmas. He could surprise Dad when he got home, but something felt wrong about that. It was that same sense that told him his dad would be mad if he found out Sid bought new lights with his own money. He snuck his new strand with 5 bad bulbs up to his room and hid them in the back of his closet. He rolled them up carefully because that seemed to be important to Dad and Grandpa for some reason. Sid couldn't look at his haggard father when he got home. He could hardly sit through dinner. His dad refilled the base under the tree and sat down to run the lines. When the lights came on as soon as he plugged them in, everything was silent. Then Mom clapped, and Sid startled at the sudden noise. You did it! Let's get this damn tree decorated already. He couldn't remember hearing his mom cussing before. Did you buy a new strand while I was out working a second job for food and medicine? Stop it. I'm serious. She licked her lips and then turned her back on Sid. He couldn't see Mom's mouth, but he could picture what it looked like. I don't have money unless you give it to me. If I were going to, I wouldn't sneak it in. I'd do it right in front of your face because I'm not scared of you, and I would have done it days ago because I'm tired of whatever this was, this way before now. Okay. I would have done it days ago because I was tired of whatever this was way before now. All right. Days ago because I'm tired of whatever this was way before now. So, no, I did not buy new lights. And if I did, do you think they sell them all half burnt out with different brightnesses? No, they're old. They are in a series, and the next year 4 will burn out instead of 3. Yeah, I know you've been looking for 3 burnt bulbs for days now because I'm not stupid. I did the math. If there are 100 bulbs on the strand, 3 burnt out bulbs makes 970,200 possible combinations. But by some Christmas miracle, you found the right ones before next Christmas. And put a pin in this because I'm telling you now, I'm not putting up with this next Christmas. You can mark that. But this Christmas, I'm going to let it go because whatever you did worked. So can we decorate the tree? Finally. The silence stretched. Sid opened his mouth to confess. Jesus, woman, relax, would you? Let me get the lights on and then the garland. Dad started circling the tree, feeding the lights through the branches from bottom to top. Then he circled them with garlands, stepping over the cord for the light each time. When he finished, he held his head. I'm fucking dizzy. I'm going to go watch the game. I've been dealing with this bullshit half my damn life, I feel like. After Dad walked through the kitchen, Mom whispered, language. Mom and Sid put on all the ornaments. She was particular about some placements and then let Sid go nuts with others. She constantly reminded him that they had to balance all sides so the tree didn't tip. She wasn't angry about it like Dad. Mitch's alarm went off and Dad came back in the room. He sat quietly and stared at the lights. He looked like he was about to cry. Sid worried his dad was angry. He couldn't stop seeing the 5 bright lights shining through the branches and wondered why his parents couldn't figure out what happened. Mom came back down. Everything's fine. His parents held each other's gaze for a moment. Dad put the brass tree topper on. They all looked at it for a while. We should unplug it during the day and before we go to bed, Dad said, so no more burn out. I swear. Dad hugged Mom around the shoulders. We'll not worry about it for now. We have enough going on, right? They stood there a while longer, and Sid hoped they were happy. All right. So that is Keeping the Place. Again, I wrote it as a part of a story prompt, and then was able to get some feedback from the editor. And I think it's a pretty good story. I think it works. So that'll be appearing actually in December with 31 Horrors for the holidays on my Patreon page. But this is up now with a little bit of echo at the beginning. But I'll mention that in the description when the video goes up. So thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.